This week on Head to Head, The Rise of Skywalker, Fan Redemption.
You're listening to Head, a Star Wars podcast. Two fans, two generations, all things Star Wars. Begins now.
Hello, everybody. I'm Eric Vancil.
And I'm Daryl Sanders.
And we're your hosts for this podcast. So they actually announced Star Wars Celebration for 2020.
Yeah, Anaheim, California.
Yep, going to happen next August. So what do you think?
It's going to be your birthday.
Yeah, you know, I wonder
if... Great birthday gift for you.
Do you remember what the actual dates are, though?
I don't. But who cares? You know, people celebrate their birthday all month anyway.
No, yeah, it's true. And I have been one of those guys, I admit.
Hey,
I have been known to do that.
Me too. Trust me.
Month-long celebration. Well, yeah, you just had your birthday was last month.
Yep.
Did you end up doing the whole month long? I mean, I know, recovering still, but, you know.
Nah, I did get good news for my birthday, so that was cool regarding the injury. So,
and
I'm weight bearing now, so I'm actually able to walk around, as you can see.
Yeah, you actually drove in today.
Yeah, so
blew my mind. It's like, because I've had to pick you up to do these podcasts for like what?
Tried to give you a break,
Since
man.
October. Yeah, right. Well, it was probably a good thing you did too, because I was running a little bit late today. Mm-hmm. So if I had to run, pick you up, and all that, it would have been a mess. All right. I guess with that, you can now walk on your own weight over to the Cantina.
Yes.
All right.
All right, man.
What do we got first? Let's get into this. You're in pain.
So, you know, on social media, there was this whole thing about hashtag make Solo 2 happen.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because, you know, by... You know, a lot of box office, you know, things, people kind of consider Solo a flop, you know, because of the lack of marketing and things of that nature. And of course, a lot of people didn't want a Solo movie. But I think now that it's been out and, you know, a lot of people are kind of watching it on Netflix or went out and bought the DVD or whatnot, like a lot of people really love the movie. And so now they're kind of hankering for a Solo 2. So what do you think? Do you think we should have another one?
I mean, that's such a weird thing to me because... You know, I remember the thing is, though, I don't know if Solo actually got a lot of backlash as much as, like you said, it just wasn't really met with a lot of interest or fanfare at all. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I mean, you guys can check back because we did a whole podcast, I think, on Solo and, you know, what the problems were and why did it flop and, you know, everything else. And I mean, you know, we say it flopped. I mean, it made like almost $500 million.
Yeah.
You know, the problem is, though, it costs like $250 million when all was said and done. And it's like it actually ended up not being profitable. In fact, I think they took a loss. But
yeah, but especially by their standards.
Yeah, but I mean, it still made money.
Yeah.
People still went to see it. But in regard to this, I think what makes this interesting is that, you know, you heard things like, OK, nobody really wanted this movie. And you know, it was obviously met with a lot of disinterest. And
then all the problems that was kind of ended, especially with a lot of the issues that led up to the movie, too, because the changing of the directors, you had, you know, Ron Howard had to come in and save the movie, you know, after the movie was like 80% done, you know, so it was just kind of like, I think a lot of people just kind of was turned off even before it even started.
Yeah, exactly right. Because they sensed all these problems and they're like, oh, this movie's got to suck because, I mean, look at everything that went on. And that's why it's so weird to me that, you know, it wouldn't be weird if, you know, you read occasionally people going, oh, man, it'd be cool if they had a sequel to it or whatever. Because I remember back when it came out, I wanted a sequel. I mean, I really enjoyed the movie overall. I thought it was great. I thought it was a fun movie. I didn't think it was a perfect movie, but I thought it was a really good Star Wars movie. And even though, you know, Aaron Aldenreich, I thought that he played a good character. It just didn't always feel like Han Solo to me. But at the same time, I was thinking, like, you know, I'd kind of like to see more Han and Lando adventures.
Yeah.
And I really want to see this whole thing with, you know, what was the organization called? Darth Maul's thing.
Oh, was it Red Dawn?
Yeah, I keep wanting to say it's like something... Yeah, boy, we're terrible.
Is it Crimson Dawn?
Yeah, Crimson Dawn. That's it.
Yeah.
So you got Crimson Dawn, and you had Darth Maul. We find out that's in charge of this. You got Kira, and you know, I thought her whole storyline was great.
Yeah, that was a great twist at the end.
It really was, and that plus really enjoying Donald Glover's
portrayal of Lando.
Yeah, portrayal of Lando. All that mixed together, I thought, you know what? I wouldn't mind seeing a sequel to it. I wasn't begging for it, but I wouldn't mind seeing it. But what really surprised me was actually seeing this hashtag. Like, it's an actual movement of some sort now.
Well, a lot of people, even I think Ron Howard even said, like, a lot of people trolling kind of killed the movie.
Yeah.
And that was another thing, too, is that people will just kind of put stuff out there, and then, people went to go see it for themselves, and they're like, wait, what are you talking about? This is actually pretty good.
Well, and I think it's like you said, though, it's like it got a second life on Netflix. Like, people started watching this thing on Netflix or Prime or whatever, and we're like, you know what? I kind of wish I had seen it in the theater. This isn't too bad. Yeah,
it was pretty good. I mean, I love Alden Ehrenreich's portrayal of Han for the most part. I mean, I know he's your favorite character, so you're going to be a little bit more partial to some of his stuff. But I mean, I thought that he pulled off the character pretty well. And of course, Donald Glover did an excellent job playing Lando. We got to see Chewie, and that whole interaction. That was even cool, is how they even met up and the whole depth that they kind of had with each other. And
it was also interesting to see the Empire at this time too.
Yeah.
It was a very interesting time period that isn't really covered a whole lot.
True.
So, I mean, I thought that part was interesting, but it just really surprised me, though, that this had turned into somewhat of a little mini movement, that enough people actually all at once said, you know what, be kind of cool to see it.
Yeah.
I don't actually think they're going to make one.
Yeah, not for a while.
Or at least not a movie. It might be a TV series. I wouldn't mind seeing it as a Disney Plus series.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Like The Mandalorian.
Yeah, man.
But what about you guys? Is anybody out there part of the whole Make Solo 2 happen, movement? You guys want to chime in on this? Hit us up at head-to-head-SW on Twitter and Facebook, and maybe even leave a cool, pithy little picture on Instagram.
Pithy picture.
Yes, pithy picture. What do we got next? Oh, I know what we got next.
Yeah. All right. A little controversy here.
Did you see it?
Yeah, I saw I didn't see the whole show, but I saw the
rant.
The rant. Yeah, basically where he was.
Did you see like the whole thing though, including the producer like going back and forth?
No, I don't think I caught that part.
Oh, that was the best.
Okay, I got to go back and watch that part.
Yeah.
What we're talking about, guys.
Yeah, right. I know
we're talking in code. You guys are like, what? What are you talking about?
They know.
So
and they follow Star Wars at all. They probably know about this.
Yeah. So if you all follow Collider's Jedi Council, there's the host Kristian Harloff, who also has another show. I think it was on Collider Talk.
Well, he does like a lot of appearances on other Collider shows.
Right.
And yeah, this is like Collider Live.
Collider Live, yeah.
Which is basically like it's a talk show that Collider does. Basically a podcast that they do where they talk about a lot of different movies and different things. And they'll have different people in the Collider family discussing this stuff.
Yeah. And essentially, Kristian Harloff, who's an avid Star Wars fan, and he's gone to premieres, he's gone to Celebration, he's gone to a lot of different events regarding Star Wars, and because he's a movie critic and he's kind of part of that whole Collider family, and he was really irritated that he didn't get an invitation to go to the opening of Galaxy's Edge. Mm-hmm. And he kind of went on this whole rant about, how he's been, flying the banner and, pumping up Star Wars for X amount of years. And, he literally looked at it as a slap in the face that he didn't get an invite. But then like some other people, other podcasters or other people who are kind of doing what he's doing, who aren't as notable as he is, or their shows for that matter, got passes or the invite to come out to Galaxy's Edge. So he kind of, as he called it, butthurt about it. So what do you think? Do you think he's entitled? Or
it's funny because
you have a point.
Because I don't really watch that particular show. Like I watch Jedi Council every week, but I don't watch that particular show. Obviously, I had missed it until I started seeing other social media posts regarding it. And then other YouTubers actually did entire videos on it. Some of them showed the rant. Others didn't, just talked about it. And, on one hand, the YouTubers have a point. Like, come on, dude. You know, you have a planet named after you in canon, you know, and basically they're kind of like, see, that's what happens. You shill for Star Wars, and as soon as you maybe say something like, oh, you don't like The Last Jedi as much, the stuff gets shut down. I don't necessarily think that he's been shilling Star Wars. I think that a lot of times, you know, or kissing up to Disney or anything like that. I think that anybody that watches Jedi Council regularly, objectively, can see that he definitely has his own opinions, and he says a lot of things that are negative about the show, and he's kept getting invited to premieres. So, you know, in other events, I don't necessarily think from, you know, what a lot of these YouTubers are saying, and a lot of people in social media, you know, are saying that. I think that what ends up happening is that people are looking at it like, oh, the mighty Kristian Harloff is, you know, taking his first hit, and now it's like, now you see how the rest of us feel, kind of a thing. You know, do I feel that it was a little bit immature and over the top? Yeah, but Kristian Harloff himself admitted that. In fact, you know, not only did he do the little apology thing for the next Collider Live, but at the next Jedi Council, they basically spent quite a bit of time talking about it. And, you know, he admits that he was, and honestly, I can understand, even though it was a complete overreaction on his part. And he, you know, he's right. It was a stupid, immature, unprofessional thing to do. Especially, you got to go back and see the whole exchange with the producer. That got pretty heated.
Wow.
Yeah, it was essentially like, you know, the producer's like, you know, he gets on the mic and he's basically, yeah, you are actually going to review it, and you know, because you're working for Collider. This isn't the Christian, you know, and then they're going back and forth, and yeah, it got pretty crazy. But I can understand, though, if you actually look at it from Kristian's point of view, emotionally, not professionally, but an emotional point of view, you know, this guy's getting invited to everything.
Right.
He talks about all this stuff. He promotes it. He gives his honest opinion. Right. Like I said, I don't think he's shilling for Disney or anything like that. He gives his honest opinion, and then something this big, when you're getting novels in the mail all the time, you're getting, you know, they got to go to that, what's that Oculus game, Vader Immortal. You know, they got to go to the premiere to that. So on one hand, you can look at it one of two ways. It's like, dude, you get to go to all this stuff. One thing you don't get invited to, and you're, you know, like freaking out about it. But on the other hand, it's kind of like you would get used to it. You know, I mean, you would be making the plans to do it. And because Galaxy's Edge is such a big thing, it's like, well, how are you going to talk about it? How are you going to be expected to talk about it if you don't get to experience it? So I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, I my personal thoughts on it were, I mean, I see. The only thing I really truly agree with him on is other people going ahead of him. Yeah. Considering the fact of, like, you know, my shows or the things that I represent in regards to Star Wars are quite notable. You know what I mean? They're, I mean, like, people literally can, like, they know me, you know, and
I'm wondering if Campia got invited. I didn't see him talk about it. You know, I mean, it's like I haven't had a chance to watch as much of his stuff, but I do keep up still with his channel, and, you know, I'll watch like clips and things here and there. I don't remember him talking about him getting a special invitation, but
yeah, and that's my thing. Is like, okay, on one hand, I can understand why he's a little bit. I can see why you'd be a little bit irritated, more or less, than upset. You know, like irritated.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean by it was an overreaction. It's like, dude, you're like a grown man, and you're.
Well, not only that, but it's just the fact that, like, yeah, like, how many people can you say, you know, really can say, like, okay, like, you've been that close to Mark Hamill, or that close to, you know, all these actors, and you've had the pleasure of interviewing Freddie Prinze Jr., you've had Sam Witwer on the show with you. I mean, you have some of these top notch actors and actresses that you've been around. You got invited to, you know, Celebration. You have all this access to stuff, and it's like, okay, one thing is not, and it's like an amusement park, dude. It's not like,
right?
I mean, it's not like some major, like, I could understand if
like he was left off of the premiere for The Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, now that I'll be a little bit like, hey,
I mean, sure.
Yeah, I can understand you being miffed about that, definitely. And it's not like you're like a Disney employee, dude. You work for Collider. It's like,
yeah.
And okay, some other, guy got a chance to go on your place.
Well, and at Collider, the thing is that a couple of Collider people were invited to go.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, I understand from his standpoint of, yeah, but I'm the one at Collider that actually has the Star Wars show.
Right.
So it's like, why would you invite these other writers when I'm kind of the Star Wars
You're
guy
kind of the
here?
focal point.
Yeah. And
yeah.
I mean,
like I said, I get it. I get why but
I do. But I mean, I think a lot of it too is that it does, basically, what's the word? Imply like a sense of entitlement almost,
definitely.
It's kind of like, okay, man, I mean, it's kind of like you said, you've had all these opportunities to do all this stuff. Look at us. I mean, we're every bit as Star Wars fans as this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And, you can argue that we have as much knowledge he does about a lot of stuff. And yet, here we are struggling to just, we're trying to grow our podcast.
Right.
I mean, at least he got to go to Celebration. We didn't even get to go to Celebration.
No, I know.
Now, admittedly, I did go on a little Harloff-esque rant on our podcast. So maybe that's one of the reasons why I kind of get, I understand. It's like, okay, you just want to do this, like this one thing, but, it's like you just have to understand there's only so much space. And again, I think we're in pretty much an agreement that it's understandable, but he just went about it totally the wrong way.
Right.
And everybody has addressed it. I actually thought about not even talking about it, but because we are both such avid watchers of Jedi Council and everything, that I thought, it might be worth.
But I will say this about Kristian. I mean, I am glad that he eventually, whether he wanted to or not, I'm glad he at least apologized for it.
Yeah, no, I mean, of course, he says that he wasn't coerced into doing it. I don't know. Based on the way the producer reacted, I think he might have been. But I also think that he understands that, he was in the wrong about it. He even said, on Jedi Council, like, look, it's out there. I know people are going to talk about it. I get it. I deserve it. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're calm, Kristian. All right. So speaking of, like, you were talking about all the different things that, Harloff has access to. And
turn the knife.
One of the things that he often gets are books. Now, you're an avid Star Wars reader.
Yeah.
Like, you love
Guilty.
You love the books and everything like that. And I've read a couple of them. I haven't read as much as I should have, but I'm trying to turn over a new leaf.
Yeah, I was going to say, not for having a podcast, get up the game now. That's why I was proud to see, because you're the one that comes up with these outlines.
Yeah.
When I read this, our next segment,
yeah,
I was like, oh, all right.
So
it's kind of probably like, this is almost like when you're trying to lose weight, and so you get somebody to work out with you to motivate you kind of thing. I'm like, all right, I see what he's doing. He's trying to read more books. And
yeah, man, get back into it. So I figured you and I would just figure out a book to read, and then that way we can kind of just review it. So out of the new books that are coming out, which one are you kind of leaning towards getting?
Well, it's kind of funny that, you mentioned it, because I finally finished while I was sick. By the way, that's why we didn't have a podcast last week. I was just too sick to do it. So apologize again. I didn't go on a rant, but I did not actually do a podcast episode, so that's almost as bad.
Yeah, he went on a sneezing fit instead.
Yeah, that's right. So, sorry about that, guys. But I did finally finish Meg Generations. Like, it took me so long to actually read that book. The thing came out like a year ago, like almost exactly a year ago.
This is not Star Wars canon, by the way, people.
Yeah. Well,
and might have some casual fans who might not know.
Well, I mean, it's true. We did talk about the Meg movie when it came out, so I mean, any of our regular listeners, probably know about our love of the whole Meg series, but finally finished Meg Generations. So I picked up and read the very first page of Master and Apprentice.
Okay. So Master and Apprentice.
Yeah, because that seems to be a book that is getting a lot of focus.
Okay.
Not just from, the usual, okay, people are reading it, it's getting positive reviews, but I mean, there's things in the canon now that are happening that Disney and Lucasfilm are setting up that are actually happening around that book. There's a new audio book. Man, I'm so bad with this stuff. This is why you should really look this stuff up beforehand. But it's called Dooku something. It's basically an audio only book, and it almost plays out like an episode. It's not like somebody's narrating it. Mm-hmm. It's basically like almost like say an episode of the Clone Wars, but in audio form. And it ties directly into Master and Apprentice, and there's a lot of things that are sort of going on, basically around that book. And, it just seems like it's a really good story. And, of course, one of the other primary reasons...
Oh, Jedi Lost. Is that it?
Yeah, I think it is. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called.
Yeah, discover the secrets of Dooku, Jedi Lost.
Yeah, that's it. So, there's that. There's a bunch of other stuff. And one of the biggest primary reasons is that we're offering Master and Apprentice... through our affiliate link. Mm-hmm. So, I would encourage you guys because, when you guys buy stuff through our affiliate links, it actually helps support our channel. So, we're going to probably dive into Master and Apprentice. Why don't you all join us?
Right.
On this journey. Dive into Master and Apprentice, but dive in via our link in the show notes, please. So we can continue to, bring you guys these episodes. We're going to have more ways that, you can help us and everything. We're not really at the level yet where we want to do the whole Patreon thing, but, we're going to start with some of these affiliate links and, it just helps offset some of the costs because, honestly, we want to continue to bring this stuff to you. So click the link in the show notes, buy Master and Apprentice. We can all read it and then we can all discuss it.
Yep.
But that's basically, I think, the one, especially since I already bought it.
Okay.
And I've also been reading that, what is that, Dark Visions, that Vader comic series. Yeah, I read the latest issue in that one. It's actually a really good comic series. It's different. It is definitely not like any of the other Star Wars comics that are out there.
Gotcha.
It's a little strange, but I actually enjoy it. I think it's a really cool series.
Okay.
So the gauntlet's been thrown. Master and Apprentice then? Is that...
Hey, Master and Apprentice.
Because, I do still have Thrawn Alliances that I haven't started yet, too. But then again, you haven't read the first Thrawn book yet. Mm-mm. So, yeah.
I'm going to do Master and Apprentice with you, man.
That's cool. You still got to buy it?
Yep. I'm actually going to probably get it this weekend.
Good. Then use our affiliate link.
Sure will. All right.
Well, I guess we're about to finish our drinks and move on, huh?
Yep, I'm about finished.
All right. Well, that's good. Now you pick up your little Yoda cane and hobble on out of the cantina, Mm-hmm. What do we got next?
Next, we have Duel of the Fates. All right, so this week, Knights of Ren versus the maturation of Finn. Which are you more excited to see in episode 9?
Well, as much as I really do enjoy Finn as a character, he's somebody that I always thought he gets a little underrated. I think he's got a really interesting story, and seeing Finn grow in Star Wars has actually been a fascinating thing to me, and I really am looking forward to seeing Finn's role in 9 because I think he's like the maturation is a really good way of putting it because I think he's reached full maturity, not necessarily as far as, like his own development, like he was an immature person.
Yeah, he's just kind of figuring himself out.
Yeah, he knows who he is. He knows what he wants. He's put away some of the more selfish, things, and he's kind of done that whole Han Solo turn in a way where I think he's going to be, a hero, like a true hero in this movie. And I am looking forward to seeing that. But, the Knights of Ren, it's like this whole cool group of people that we have only heard about and haven't been exposed to. And on top of that, they've been teased a little bit where we saw a little bit of them in 7.
Mm-hmm.
They really didn't make an appearance or anything in 8, but you knew that somewhere these guys are out there. And while this stuff in 8's happening, you're wondering, well, where are they?
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to, now that we have confirmation that they're going to be in The Rise of Skywalker, it's like, okay, well, what can we expect?
Yeah, I think for me, it's, you hit the nail right on the head for me. I think I love Finn. I think he's hilarious. I think he brings a sense of honesty to this new trilogy, just in what you would feel like and how you would feel if you were just thrust into this thing.
Well, if you think about it, you could make the argument that much like you saw the saga through especially the original trilogy, through the droids, that's how you entered into the whole story. And that's whose eyes you're more or less seeing it through. You can make that argument about the sequel trilogy that Finn's the one, that you enter into the story.
Right.
And you're seeing it kind of unfold with him. So, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And I think that he has so many different layers that haven't been explored yet. And and that was kind of the thing that bummed me out really about 8, was that, you're really hoping to delve more into like him and kind of see where his head is. I mean, I didn't mind him being kind of with Rose and things like that. It's just the whole Canto Bite thing was just a waste.
Yeah.
If they had something more.
They actually have a Canto Bite book.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
Not reading that one.
I almost wanted to joke and say, well, I think we ought to start with Canto Bite.
But yeah, I think that the Knights of Ren, like you said, they look so cool in 7, in that vision. And you're just kind of like, okay, well, who the heck are these guys? And they're with Kylo. And you just don't know the extent of what they can do or their power. Like, are they just regular, like, soldiers? Because they all kind of have, like, melee weapons, like hammers and very iron, like almost kind of Game of Thrones-ish type of weapons. As opposed to Kylo, he's like the one with the lightsaber. So you're kind of wondering, okay, what kind of guys are these? Are they like mercenaries? Are they kind of like bounty hunters? Like, what's their deal?
Yeah, exactly.
And so I think that's really going to be my point of interest when it comes to 9 is Knights of Ren.
Oh, absolutely. What about you guys? Which do you think? Maturation of Finn, you want to see like Finn's development, his characterization, like we started with Finn on this journey in The Force Awakens and, we watched him grow. So are you looking forward to that? Are you excited to see that? Or are you more excited to see the Knights of Ren? Let us know at Head to Head SW on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
All right. So next we have From a Certain Point of View.
Ah, yes, our feature topic.
Now, what do you think Disney will have to do to market The Rise of Skywalker to bring the fans back who may have left?
Well, I mean, I think they actually had a good start with this trailer, honestly. The teaser trailer, I think, really did generate a lot of excitement. And in a lot of ways, almost, not quite, but almost single-handedly shifted the whole vitriol that we saw with The Last Jedi.
Now, with that part, do you think that this trailer was better than The Last Jedi's trailer?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I do. Ultimately, because, and it's not that I necessarily think that it revealed more, but it definitely gave us a sense of what this movie was really going to be. I think part of the problem that we had with The Last Jedi in regard to the trailer is that they did what they needed to do. They were trying to keep certain things from us, but it's like we really didn't know, what's Luke going to do? It's kind of like it didn't necessarily give us, I think it did give us an honest tone of the movie, but we didn't know that at the time. And I think that part of the problem is that it didn't give enough information in order to, quells people's expectations. and because they weren't tempered and expectations ran wild, I think that's one of the reasons why people were disappointed. Now, of course, there's a lot of people that say, no, it was just a poorly executed and directed and written film. Okay, I respect that, but I think that if the trailer maybe had gone a definitive direction, you might have gotten that sense. With The Rise of Skywalker, though, I think that it's giving us a feel of what this film's going to be like tonally. We know that there's going to be a big adventure that everybody's going on together. We don't necessarily know all the details of it, but we know that that's the case. We know that Rey is, pretty much reached pretty close to her full potential as a Jedi. We get that sense in the trailer. We kind of get the sense of everything that we need to know to be excited about in the trailer. We know that Carrie Fisher will be in there as promised. Mm-hmm. So I mean, that's one thing that I think that they've already done. Now, as far as what else do they have to do, I do think that their follow-up trailer has to do more of the same. Give us a little bit more of the, maybe not even reveal anymore, but just enrich what we already know.
Yeah.
I don't know if it necessarily needs to be anything more than that as far as the marketing goes, as long as they do it in regular intervals.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with I will say this, Last Jedi gave you the tone. Like the trailer gave you the tone with the whole, it's time for the Jedi to end.
Right.
And then you're hearing, that was the first time we saw the Star Wars logo with red. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of a thing. Then, of course, the symbolism with the crate scene where, all that red dirt and dust is kicked up. Everything was kind of red, and it seemed like, the bad side really was going to conquer in this one. The Rise of Skywalker, though, the thing that I got out of the one word that I can say about it says growth. Like everybody has grown.
Yeah. From
Rey to Finn, like just looking at Finn, Rey able to do all these amazing things. You see Kylo, he just looks a little bit more like focused, even putting his whole helmet together. Like he's almost like he's back. He's where he needs to be. And then, of course, at the very end, when you hear the Emperor's cackle, you're kind of like, yeah, you got to grow up, because if you're going to be dealing with this guy, you got to be at the top of your game. So I think that whole trailer kind of conveyed feeling that everybody's grown up.
And that brings a good point, though, because everybody's grown, and now you're introducing the Emperor. Now, they got to be really, really careful about how they use him in this movie. Mm-hmm. And I think that one of the things they need to do, while they may not necessarily want to give anything away, is they need to give us a little bit of a clue, once again, to kind of contain and temper expectations. Just give us a little bit of a taste of how he may be used.
Yeah, I think...
because, a lot of people think that it's like it's just a cheap plot device used to
get us excited.
Hey guys, look, the Emperor, come see our movie, please. That kind of thing.
I mean, I think there's, with that, you have a different, and that's the thing, because we even said about Rogue One, when we knew Vader was going to be in it. And, we said, like, okay, you got to use Vader the right way.
Yeah, it's true. We did say that.
And that's the thing, even with the Emperor in this, because they're both technically, at least in Rogue One, Vader was supposed to be alive at that point. Mm-hmm. Where this one, the Emperor is not supposed to be. So that's the difference. But I think that you don't want to make it too Vader centric. Like they didn't want to make Rogue One too Vader centric. And I don't think you want to make Rise of Skywalker too Emperor centric. I think you need to have him. I kind of like it being in the shadows a little bit, like him talking to Kylo. You really don't see what form he's in. I kind of think that's what's going to make it cool, is make it to bring that anticipation. Like, okay, I got to see how they're going to do this.
Yeah. All I know is, and I think that this is what I'm saying, that they're actually doing it, is like people are really curious on, how is he going to wrap this whole story up? See, the fact that they keep emphasizing that this is the end of the saga, I think is another brilliant marketing move, because even people that absolutely hated The Last Jedi and have sworn, okay, I'm never watching Star Wars again, blah, blah, blah. You're going to get those guys now. They're like, oh, you know what? I hate this stupid thing, but I got to see how they ended it.
Yeah.
I just have to see how it ends.
Yeah.
I hate the movie, but I just got to see how they ended the thing.
Right. And the thing with the Emperor, like you said, you bring up a good point as far as that dangling that carrot of, oh, look, the Emperor, is because, you are wrapping up the entire saga. So,
well, I mean, that's
of course, the Emperor is going to be.
Sure. It makes sense from a story point of view, but a lot of the fans, especially the casual ones, they don't see it that way because they don't think about Star Wars as deeply as, nerdy people like us.
Yeah, so it could just be like, a flashback. It could be.
Oh, yeah, it could be anything.
It could have been, it's just the fact that you are just the Emperor. You see an Emperor in a bunch of flashbacks or something like that. He's not really physically there, so we don't know. But then, of course, with Ian McDiarmid coming out again, that's what throws you
exactly, and that's what makes me think that it's going to be more than just that. Is the fact that now again they did pull back right away, though. He started doing a bunch of interviews, going, "Well, no, he's really kind of dead or whatever." I mean, it's like
he's all just in the area. I decided to stop.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, right? It's kind of like I think they're just trying to backpedal and go, "Oh man, we might have done too much or something," But they do have to be careful because they've shown that, no matter what other reasons that you give for Solo's failure, which are all valid, maybe it came a little bit too soon after the last one and it's starting to confuse people, or like Ron Howard said, you had all these trolls that, kept people away, or maybe like, something that we have said a million times, like people weren't really asking for that kind of a film. But I think that no matter what, you have to admit that the whole backlash against The Last Jedi actually did affect, to at least some degree, the box office of the next one.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Well, so they've got to really be careful, because you had the Benioff and Weiss trilogy coming up. Rian Johnson seems like he's going to get another stab at this. You have, of course, the TV series, Mandalorian, Cassian Andor series. You can't afford to make another mistake with Star Wars, because there's a lot of fans out there that love the George Lucas stuff, but hate the Disney stuff. They think that Disney is ruining Star Wars, and, they're taking a good thing and dragging it through. So they're not even blaming Star Wars, they're blaming Disney.
Mm-hmm.
So they got to be really careful. I think that they're doing the right thing now by pulling back and going, hey, let's talk about this and plan the next 10 years. And, meanwhile, you and I were like, well, you probably should have done that in 2012, guys. Yeah. I'm just saying. Yeah. But,
But I think...
but I do want to be invited to... So I'm not going to get like too cranky.
Yeah, I think, though, with, like you said, the Emperor whole thing, you have to be very careful on how you use them.
Oh, yeah.
I think if you're going to wrap up the saga, you have to include him.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, from a story perspective, the whole thing makes sense.
Yeah. And it's just, like you said, just how are they going to use him? But like I said, with Ian McDiarmid showing up, it really gives like the impression of like, okay, either you're going to shoot some scenes. Either you're going to shoot some scenes that happen in the past, and that's why they have to bring you back for it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not, his presence is there but in past tense, as opposed to currently the Emperor's back.
Yeah. Well, again, and that's going to be another, is he or isn't he really dead? Is he?
And see, now, if you hear him say something like, in the next trailer or something, where like, oh, you're the next Skywalker, or you're the next, or you're the one I wanted, or, I wish I had, or something like that. Well, then now you give me the impression that, okay, you're presently here. You know what I mean? Like, versus, like, just depends if he's talking and how he's talking in this next trailer, if they even have him, talking in that. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, do you think you should actually be in the next one?
I think honestly, you do, because I do
too.
I think you really need to, if you're going to lure us back with Palpatine, And
yeah, you better expound on that.
Yeah, but I think you got to give us like, okay, hey, it's more to this than meets the, and it's like, you really need to hear this. And I think you don't need to show us him. You don't need to show him to us, but at least let us hear more from him.
Right.
You know, if you hear him say Kylo Ren, you know, it's like, okay, he's here. That's all I need to know, because now he's talking to him presently in some form, whether it's a force
you know what
spirit
they could do, if they want to maintain a little bit of mystery and secrecy, they could just mention him. Like, other characters can mention him in the next trailer, because that would actually give you the shroud of mystery. Like, well, is he there? Are they mentioning him like more like a past tense kind of a thing, or, you know, are they mentioning like, yeah, he's in this castle like over there on this planet or something? You know what I mean? It's like, if they want to do that, they could actually make mentions of it, or, you know, they could cheese out too and do a little bit of a Luke thing where they edit together a bunch of lines from
the other movies.
Yeah, because the other movies. And then you got to think though, because, and this is one of the things that I've often said, it's true that he doesn't necessarily have to still be alive. Because look, we heard Obi-Wan, we heard Yoda, we heard, did we hear Qui-Gon?
Yep.
Yeah, all in The Force Awakens. Now, if they had put any of that in the trailer, everybody would have been like, oh, Qui-Gon's still alive. Well, no,
Qui-Gon,
not necessarily.
I don't know. He was in Force Awakens. I know.
Well, they did. They had like a little bit of his voice in there.
Oh, in that vision?
In the vision. A lot of this stuff was in the vision. And then you have Obi-Wan going, Rey, you know, you're taking your first steps.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. By that point, Obi-Wan said Rey.
Mm-hmm.
If we were having this discussion back in 2014, we would have sworn up and down that, you know, like if we had heard that in the teaser trailer and then Ewan McGregor popped out, you know, we would have sworn up and down that, oh, Obi-Wan must be alive. But see, that's the difference. Ewan McGregor didn't pop out at the end of the trailer and say, roll it again. You know, I mean, it's like
pretty good, man.
You know, I mean, so that's where I think, and I agree with you, that there's a definite difference between the way that they're doing this. Is you had like practically every Jedi in that vision in The Force Awakens say something, but none of those actors came out after the trailer. And
then you know what? And it just dawned on me too when you said that, like, not only did he come out, he made them roll it again.
Yeah.
So it's like, no, you really need to like...
Yeah, like you got to process this, guys.
Like...
Wink.
Yeah, exactly. That's... You can't just do that.
And see, I don't think that they would go through all that if he was just a holocron or a Sith spirit or something. You know, I honestly think that he's got to be there in some physical form or they wouldn't... go through this like emphasize that.
Yeah.
Of course it is JJ,
Misdirection.
Khan's not, you know, in Star Trek From Darkness or whatever. It's like, or Into the Darkness, and it's like, well, yeah, he kind of is.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Kind of like the main villain.
Yeah, lying to us. And that's the thing. Just, you know, I don't mind misdirection. Just don't lie to us.
Right.
You know, because that's not even necessary, man. It is a movie. We get it. We're not, you know... We're not tied to this in any way. I mean, granted, we're doing a podcast on it and spending money that you can help us offset by clicking on the affiliate links in the show notes.
Definitely.
All right. Well, I think that does it. What about you guys? So you guys out there presumably are Star Wars fans. I know some of you regular listeners of our podcast are definitely Star Wars fans because we have some great dialogue back and forth, which, of course, we'd love to have with everybody. You can hit us up at Head to Head SW on Facebook, on Twitter. You know, we love to talk to you guys. We're getting more and more followers all the time, so that's good, but we'd like to really engage you guys in discussion because that's what it's all about. So tell us, what do you guys think that Disney has to do to bring back the general fans, not necessarily the hardcore ones? And if you're a casual fan, let us know.
Or if you're somebody who just left and you know, you kind of want to, or you want to leave.
Remember that one guy that wrote us?
Yeah. It's like if you want to leave.
I want to hear from that guy. Like, what do they have to do to
bring you back?
Yeah. make you not attack us and for actually saying The Last Jedi was a halfway decent movie.
Yes, episode 10, Attack of the Fan.
Yeah. All right. Well, it brings us to our segment where we take your questions and hopefully give some relatively intelligent answers to them. And we call this segment Clear Your Mind. So who do we got first and what do we have first?
All right. We have a question from Joseph. I want to say this right. Torello. All right.
To roll it again.
That's good. Since Palpatine will be back, what are the chances that we may see Vader in The Rise of Skywalker?
Well, and I mean, not only do you have to say what are the chances we see Vader, but then it's like, do we see him in Anakin Force Ghost form? Do we see him? You know what I mean? It's like you got that whole dual thing. I mean, I think it would be intriguing to see an Anakin Force Ghost. Actually, ironically, in this past week's episode of Jedi Council, somebody had written in saying, if there's an Anakin Force Ghost, who do you think, he'll appear to? Rey, Palpatine, Kylo, Luke. And it was a really intriguing, they kind of did it as I think it was the last question of the show or something. But that plays into this because it's are we even going to see him in? And I think the Jedi Council guys gave it a 2 to 5% chance that we're even going to see him in the movie. Maybe even, I think one of them went as high as 10. Mm-hmm. And it's I would go as high as 20. I'd go as high as 20. I really think that, I think it's a really slim-ish chance that he's going to be there. But I can see from a story perspective how, he would actually play into it.
Yeah, I don't think I could see is probably a flashback or some vision or some weird, because like we said before, they're wrapping up the entire saga. So, I mean, Palpatine may make mention of it or, he might find out.
Though, because remember, Qui-Gon came back and taught Obi-Wan how to even become a Force Ghost. Mm-hmm. And this is, a few years after.
They said Vader, not Anakin.
Well, yeah.
That's why I'm.
But do you think that they're really differentiating that, though?
I think so, because I think when you're talking Vader, you're talking.
Well, if it's Vader, then yeah, there's zero chance that we're going to see Vader in there. Unless, like you said, it's like a flashback or, it's like some old holocron thing or. Yeah,
I think that you may see a holocron thing that, Kylo's still looking for stuff and he might find some of Vader's notes on how he's dealt with the stuff that we've read in the comics, which would be cool because he kind of had this whole dictionary of okay, as far as him controlling his power, getting, because when he first got into the suit, he had to learn how to control everything. And and that's something Kylo really needs. So even though he doesn't have the suit problem, it's just more so just how to harness your power the right way.
Well, there's another possibility though. There is one other possibility. They could go sort of in the direction they were going to go in with The Force Awakens, where they actually have a Sith ghost. Mm-hmm. They're going to have that Vader, he's half Vader, half Anakin Sith spirit or something or whatever it was. And, they could go that route, but it just, I don't know. It would almost be like if they did that plus brought Palpatine back, it would kind of obliterate everything about Return of the Jedi at that point.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think if you brought it, that's what I said. Vader has to come back. If you're going to show Vader, you have to show him in the context of either a holocron or a Force spirit.
Now, Anakin's a different story, though.
Now, Anakin, that's a different
because he appeared at the end of Return of the Jedi with everybody else,
right?
So it's viable that he could come back. And then the question is, if he does come back, who does he talk to? Because you can actually make a case that he could talk to, he could talk to Luke. It'd be really interesting to see him talk to Palpatine.
Well, Luke, that wouldn't make sense for him to talk to Luke since Luke is gone.
Well, yeah, you could talk to Luke. Yeah, that's a good point. You can actually talk to Luke
anytime.
Now.
Yeah. I think it'd be more.
Unless Anakin and Luke appeared to somebody.
Yeah. I could see more so Anakin
Kylo would be probably, or Rey.
Yeah, I'll probably say Kylo would probably be the one Anakin would probably talk to.
I would say so.
It would make the most sense.
It really would. And I mean, like I said, there is a possibility. I could see that happening, but
I don't really see anyone but Luke talking to Rey. Because, I mean, like, she wouldn't know who Obi-Wan was. Like, who the heck is this?
Well,
she doesn't know who Yoda is.
They were joking that, but you got, like, maybe. But look, if Abraham Lincoln were a Force ghost, you would know who he was. You've studied him, you've read about him, you've seen pictures of him. And I think it would be the same thing with them. I mean, they would know who he was, but I think the point that you're making, though, which is actually pretty strong, is that there's no context, really. There would be no reason for that to happen. Yeah, I mean... Luke, on the other hand, it's not even so much that he knows Rey, but Luke is the one that set her off on the path to...
he's trained her, and he's qualified to teach her. And that's the thing I've always seen. It's like, okay, where... If you really follow everything in Star Wars, it makes most sense because, okay, Obi-Wan dies, but he still stays with his student, which was Luke.
Right. It wasn't Qui-Gon that appeared to Luke.
Exactly. And then same goes for Yoda. Yoda, he also became Yoda's student as well. And that's why Yoda still popped up.
Some of this is retconning. Because it's like, the reason why Qui-Gon never appeared to Luke is because the character Qui-Gon wasn't even thought of yet.
True.
So I mean, it's almost like you have to find in-universe explanations. It just so happens, though, that one actually does make some sense.
Yeah.
All right, what do we got next?
All right. The next question comes from Tamara Sullivan. And the question is, any guesses on what the relationship would be between... any guesses on what the relationship
Any guesses on what this question is?
Shut up. Again, any guess on what the relationship would be like between Rey and Kylo?
Chilly. Actually, so I mean, I guess that's what they're talking about, right? The disposition, or... Well,
I guess because...
Well, I mean, are they trying to imply, like, is it going to be romantic? Is it going to be...
Well, I think people, because JJ made mention that, their connection is a lot deeper than what most people think. And I think
he actually said that? I missed that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, JJ said, I think it was in that Vanity Fair.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, how'd I miss that?
Yeah, he basically was saying that, people are really going to be, of course, shocked by a lot of stuff in 9, but that their relationship is a lot deeper than what most people think. And so, of course, now people are speculating, okay, are they brother and sister again? Is that whole thing coming back? Are they...
No, you know what? I think that actually... I think that that's something that Rian Johnson started with Snoke putting them together in the Force. Mm-hmm. Which up until now, of course, we haven't seen. So we really have no idea, like, how... It's almost like once you open that door, number one, he was actually guiding it at certain times, but now that he's gone, I'm sure that little two-way chat function they got now through the Force, is pretty powerful. I mean, it was getting powerful before. She got splashed with some water and then his arm was wet or whatever. I mean,
yeah.
That's now you're getting like some physical manifestations there. He's popping up in her little hut thing, on...
she could actually physically see him. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's like... And Luke could physically see him when he walked in on him.
Yeah.
He wasn't even there.
Right.
I mean, hey, who knows? Maybe that's what gave Luke the idea of the whole end. Like, you know what? I wonder if I can,
If he can do it, I know I can.
Yeah, right. It's like, that's not a bad idea. Mm-hmm. So, I mean... And it could actually be related to that, right? To where it's sort of like, Kylo and Rey can, maybe deepen that and maybe like even more physically manifest that.
What if it's kind of like that whole, remember, I think it was it no, it wasn't Clone Wars. It was Rebels.
Are you talking about the World Between Worlds?
No, not that one. It was the one when well, sort of. But basically, you had, I think they did cover it in Clone Wars too. But basically it was that you had the father and then you had the brother and sister.
Oh, that was Clone Wars. That was because that's sort of like the origin of the Force.
Origin of the Force.
Like the dark side and light side.
Right. What if that's Kylo and Rey?
Well, I don't think it's Kylo and Rey.
Well, I mean, now. I mean, I'm saying like.
I mean, if you're saying that maybe like, it's kind of like like that.
They're the representatives of those spirits, basically.
Well, you never know. Weirder things have happened.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta. It's funny because I'm sure Lucas is watching this, going, "What the heck are they doing to my?" It's just getting weird now. Even though he is the one though that wrote that, so I guess maybe that wouldn't be the case. But sometimes I do wonder. But then again, if you read his original outlines for 7, 8, and 9, it's like, yeah, man,
they're out there.
It's all right. We'll take the Disney one. Ryan Johnson's cool. That's all right.
Thanks, George.
I mean, it's going to be tough to say, man. It really is. I mean, because it could go in so many different directions, and there's so many different elements that have already been introduced to us. Because remember, she got inside of his head unexpectedly back in 7, which I think is probably what gave Snoke the idea. And then, he makes this thing even deeper, and, you can't put the genie back in the bottle, so to speak. So, I mean, let's...
We'll find out in December, huh?
I guess we're going to have to find out in December. I don't really think that there's anything... the problem is there isn't a whole lot to go on. That's why I am really curious about these books that are coming up, the whole Journey to the Rise of Skywalker books. I mean, I know Alphabet Squadron, which I don't think is one of them, but Alphabet Squadron is out. We're getting into the summer months now. So I think we're going to start seeing those Journey books around September.
Yeah.
September, October, November, that's when everything's going to start coming out. And those are going to be the books that everybody's going to want to read, and everybody's going to want to click our affiliate link to read them. Hint, hint.
That's why you did that.
Yeah. So, I don't know. What do you guys think? Rey and Kylo, you think, it's going to be like a little Reylo kind of thing? Like, are we talking?
Oh, my God.
Are we talking like some sort of a romantic relationship?
Brother and sister?
Are they brother and sister? Do they just hate each other? Are they just, like forced chat buddies? Or, something's going on there, guys.
Yep.
We need some input on that. All right, well, I think that's going to do it for our show for today.
Yes, sir.
As always, you can reach us at headtoheadsw on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. You can email us, starwars@headtoheadswpodcast.com. And, of course, you can check out headtoheadswpodcast.com. That's our official website. We have a blog that's up there. We're starting to get a little bit better about updating it. And, there's all kinds of different ways that you can get a hold of us. We encourage you guys to do so. I'm Eric Vancil.
I'm Daryl Sanders.
May the Force be with you.
Always.
Head to Head, a Star Wars podcast. Be sure to follow us on Twitter @HeadToHeadSW. Submit your questions for our next show. Visit our official website at headtoheadswpodcast.com. Until next time, may the Force be with you, always.